All right, welcome everybody. We'll call to order the Grand Forks City Council meeting for Monday, July 15th, 2024. Roll call, please, Maureen.
Weigel.
Here.
Sowski. Here. Berg. Here. Lensky. Here. Friedels.
Here.
Sandy.
Here.
And Veen. We have a quorum. Thank you. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Item 1.2, Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 1.3, Mayor's announcements, just a couple of announcements. I want to thank the Senior Center. They had me over there for pie and coffee and a Q&A last Tuesday. A lot of the discussions were arranged around speeding, traffic, parking, and lack of shopping opportunities. So definitely things that, at least on the shopping aspect and certainly on speeding, that we continue to work on. I want to thank leadership at Spectra Health as well. I know myself and Ms. Berg were able to go over there. I know a few other council members have already toured that facility, but they do a lot of good work there and continue to, I think, on quite a shoestring budget, and just find a way to get things done and make things happen. And just a quick announcement, there is an event coming up tomorrow. It's a Heroes for Hospice fundraising event, and that's going to be at Choice Bank on 42nd Street. I believe it's in the evening, but if you get a chance to support a great event, head over there tomorrow. So with that, that's all for Mayor's announcements. So we'll move on to 2, awards, presentations, appointments, and proclamations.
2.1 is presentation, water treatment plant redevelopment consultant update.
Mayor Buczynski, we have development strategies here this evening to give you an update. And you approved moving forward with development strategies to look at the redevelopment of the Grand Forks regional water treatment plant down in the downtown area. They're back and they're kicking off their study regarding this important area. And so we have Justin, Matt, and Catherine are here on behalf of the team. They're going to be doing some meetings this week, but most importantly, we want to be over the next, we'll say 9 to 12 months, we want to be able to come back to you with a real solid request for proposals that we can send out that can move forward with this, really significant district area, that we can move forward with a public-private partnership and add some real value in this area. The other thing we've held off on if you get asked on the water treatment plant, why haven't we demolished that? We do have in the budget to expend about $6 million in drinking water SRF loan funds to demolish that site, but we want to make sure we come up with a development strategy that's viable, that the private sector can come in to develop that, and then that will help us let us know on how we want to demolish that site. So with that, this is the kickoff. I know Councilmember Berg, she's the council representative in that ward, so this project is in that ward, so she's a part of this advisory group, I'll call it, that's going to provide some advice. And then also Councilmember Veen was on the selection process for the to select development strategies, and he's a part of the formal team that will help represent the city council on this project. So with that, I'd hand it over to the development strategies team, and we're anticipating about a 10-minute presentation, and there's a pretty cool drone footage that the fire department did around this site, and it makes Grand Forks is a pretty beautiful city, so I think that's what the video shows. So we wanted to show you that in and around the site too.
All right, Mr. Carney, Mr. Whiteley, and I think we got Ms. I'm going to try it. Ms. Kazmierzak are here today, so great. Please, the floor is yours.
Okay, great. Okay, well, thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of council. On behalf of my entire team, we're so thankful that you all have chosen us to help you with this very important project that I think has the potential to really create a legacy for your community. As our name suggests, we specialize in development and taking a real strategic approach and helping communities identify development that sits at the intersection of good policy and good economics is our passion. And so we're very thankful to be here with you all today, kicking off this project. Got to do a tour of downtown with your staff today. Wonderful, beautiful day. We've learned a lot already. We've been doing some background work, and I wanted to just share with you in 10 minutes or less a little bit of what we're going to be doing. Our company, we're a holistic development advisory firm, and by that I mean we have development expertise. We're going to be delving into market analysis and development economics and costs, and in order to create scenarios to explore for this site. We have an urban design practice that's going to help visualize what some opportunities can be. That's the creative side of our team. And the two sides of our practice, we really work together. It's a great combination of creativity, but also economics and practicality to understand what some of the best options could be. We have a community engagement practice. We're going to be working with a steering committee and engaging the public in various ways. And we also have economic development strategists. We're going to absolutely be thinking about this site as a potential catalyst for a whole quadrant of your downtown and how it can best be positioned to do so. These are some of the key members of the team that are going to be working on this project that provide that diversity of expertise. And we came in here when we did our interview with this understanding. I'll say we're doing our kickoff today and on this visit, and this can evolve. It usually does. As we learn more, as we talk to more folks, that's why we talk to people, to learn more. But we know we're going to be focusing on this site and how it can impact a whole district. We know that there's a desire to create an enduring legacy for this site. And we're also going to be focusing on feasibility and what the economics are of various opportunities at this site. We know that you all have had a tremendous amount of progress and momentum that you all should be really excited about. And we know the development community is going to be excited about the progress that you all have made too. We'll be looking, as I said, not just at the site, but how it sits in the district. We're also really interested in exploring the relationship to the river and views of it and public space. And we think there will be some really exciting opportunities to explore there. In terms of engagement, we'll be working directly with your staff, the client team. We have a steering committee that we'll be rolling up our sleeves with. We're meeting with them for the first time tomorrow morning. We're really excited about that. And we'll be reporting things out to the public as we get into this process, using a variety of tools to engage with folks along the way. In terms of process, this is kind of, we've done some research. This is kind of the beginning. This is the kickoff. And over the next 9 months, we'll be working through different phases, working ultimately toward a more refined development approach that can go out to an RFP. Our goal is that you get a variety of proposals from high-quality developers because you have an RFP with a lot of clarity that you all have worked through and have been able to look at a diversity of options on this site, understanding what the trade-offs are because we've presented those to you, the pros and cons, and have a really clear direction forward. And quality developers are going to say, hey, this community knows what they want, and they're going to work with us, and we're going to work with them to achieve something really great. Just a few. I just want to share a few, quick examples. This is a project in Charleston in which we're really working on a very similar sized site and really looking at it as a catalyst for the particular neighborhood in which it sits. We're thinking about some of the momentum that's occurred in that particular neighborhood and how to build on that and enhance that. Throughout the process, we'll be thinking about, whenever we're working on these projects, we're always thinking about value creation, value capture, and public benefit. This is part of our philosophy, right? So there's certain things that create value. Sometimes for a neighborhood, a district, it brings people in. There's things that capture taxable value. And then there's things that create public benefit. These things aren't always mutually exclusive, but sometimes certain things tend to provide more strongly in one direction or the other. And so when we talk about putting scenarios in front of you, what we mean is we can provide scenarios with different mixes of these things and have conversations around those. And we can model those scenarios and talk about what the economics are, what the return on investment is over time with the different mixes of uses. That's what we mean by exploring different options and different scenarios. And a lot of that can lead to a really clear and distinct vision like this one here in Blacksburg. We've been working with the community and moving forward with this vision over time. This is really one about a site as a catalyst for a district. As we get into it, we'll probably end up putting different scenarios in front of you all and ultimately working toward something where there's a clear vision, a clear real estate program, something that we can illustrate so it makes sure that everybody's on the same page. It's really a representation of a set of conversation with the steering committee, with this community that reflects good policy, a good vision, but also is undergirded by economic realities and practicalities. So that's our presentation. I hope I stuck to about 10 minutes. Happy to answer any questions that you all have.
All right, well, thank you. Thank you for coming out. Any questions for the group at this time, or certainly as you need in the future as well, they'll be available.
Great.
Otherwise, I heard we had a drone video that was going to be launched up too, that'd kind of give us an aerial sight of exactly what we're looking at here, so.
Yeah, it's about a minute and a half long, so if you got any questions, this can be a little background.
Can you narrate it for us, Andy? Move it.
Just for the city council, on the south side of the building, that's 1956 and 1968 treatment plant, so that's where the treatment occurred. And then on the north side of the building, that's pre-treatment at the old water treatment plant, and that was a 1984 build on this particular site. It was a site that's been there about 100 years, over 100 years as a water treatment plant site. Mayor, maybe we talk about too, along 3rd Street, looking at how do we integrate 3rd Street in that flood wall. We talked about that, and when you look at this.
Yeah, well, I think as you look at it here, keep in mind before, in the past, 3rd Street did have activity on both sides of it, and obviously as the flood came in, the wall is there now. You've lost anything on the east side, so I think there's some opportunities. I don't think that's a great intersection on 3rd and Minnesota at the bottom left there, so potentially vacating 3rd to the north of this site and either having it just open for walking or actually having building right up to the dike would be, I think, really beneficial to the project. It can access the greenway well and access those views. If anyone's been up on the roof there, I was a number of years ago, and it's pretty spectacular to be able to just to look out from there, obviously, as you can see from this drone footage, so. And it looks like the grass has been well maintained there, so kudos to the department for taking care of that, so.
I think with that, Mayor, if no further questions, that's kind of what we're working on today.
All right, thank you. Yeah, Ms. Lunsky, please.
I just hope that you guys will take traffic study into consideration. I know this could add a lot more cars to the neighborhood that will shoot down 4th Street onto the Belmont Highway. So hopefully that stays in everyone's minds.
Absolutely. All right. We'll move on then to 3 public hearings and second readings of ordinances. There are none, so move on to citizen comments as they relate to action items. Any citizen comments related to our action items tonight? No. All right, now we'll move on to action items. We were going to seek to add something to the agenda. We did add it late, but we wanted it would be better to get the council a motion to make a vote on it. It was regarding some second reading of ordinances, and maybe Mr. Gostek, he did send a letter out earlier. We had an organizational meeting, that meeting adjourned, then our second city council meeting took place when this was then voted upon, and out of an abundance of caution, there was no contention over it, but there may be some value in going over it again and voting a second time. Is that correct, Mr. Gosted?
I think it's a fair assessment. Everybody got a copy of my email earlier today. I think you could read the ordinance a couple of different ways. I read it in that if an ordinance is introduced before the election and before the new council, there should be at least 2 regular meetings of that new council before the ordinance that was introduced before gets read again for the second time.
All right.
Mayor, I'd make a motion to add item 5.0 to the agenda as it is on the website.
Sounds good. We got a motion and a second. So any further conversation, questions, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Why don't you go ahead and read 5.0, just so we can add that to the agenda, and then just so everyone's aware of how it reads on there.
So 5.0, we're looking for confirmation of final approval of ordinances that was approved on July 1st. First one being ordinance 4886 to dedicate right-of-way on the plat of Corinta 4th and final approval of the plat. Item B, ordinance 4887 to annex Corinth 4th Edition. And the third item, ordinance 4888 to annex Danks Second Re-subdivision.
Thank you.
Mayor, I'll move approval on all items.
All right, we got a motion to approve. Do we have a second motion? on
What,
item
are we
5.0?
just talking about
Just
5.0,
5.0 at
or
this
are we
time.
going to pull?
5.0.
Just 5.0. Well, from there, we'll go back over the rest. Just,
Sure, okay.
Yeah.
I can wait.
well, you wanted
I'm
all,
just really excited.
all the action items you wanted to go?
No, I was moving approval on 5.0, trying
A, B, and
to
C.
clean up the.
Perfect. All right, we got a
concern.
motion. Is that what your second was, Ms. Osowski?
I'll second that, but I do have
Yeah,
a
we'll go
question
back to
about
the
it.
rest. Oh, you have a
No, I
question?
have a
Yeah.
question about 5.0. I was
Okay,
going to pull
please,
that
go
item.
ahead. We got a
I
motion
would like to
second.
know what company is purchasing that land and planning to build in our community, please.
Sure. It's Design Solutions and Integration. They are locally, they have a current spot now. It's out on Ryland Road, just south of town. They're outgrowing that space. They're looking for some additional space.
Thank you.
They do fabrication, so.
All right, we got a motion a second. Any further comment? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. All right, now we want to kind of go back to our regular schedule as we got any items, I guess let's go 5.1 through 5.9 that council wants pulled. 5.2 and 5.3 would be new ones for this evening, so why don't we go ahead and pull those two, but any other items council wants?
4, 5, and 6, please.
4, 5, and 6. Just give a moment if there's any others. All right, so we'd be looking at approval for items 5.1, 5.7, 5.8, and 5.9. I get a motion to approve those items.
Move approval.
Get a motion to approve. We have a second. Second from Mr. Friedolfs. Motion from Ms. Osowski, second from Mr. Friedolfs. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. So we've got 5.2 through 5.6, Ms. Storstad.
5.2, Northern Plains Nitrogen Letter of Intent and Extension.
Mr. Phelan, is this a 6-month? This one's kind of comes in every 6 months?
We did, this comes every 6 months. We're at the 6-month point again in July. I did have a conversation with Larry Mackey, who's the CEO of Northern Plains Nitrogen, also with a discussion about potential investments in this particular project. We've been at a stall point regarding this project just due to, significant capital investment that would be required. This is a $3 billion plus project, and tens of millions would have to go into as part of a FEED study, which is a front-end engineering design as part of the project. So I did have some conversations with Mr. Mackey, and there does seem to be some movement on the investment portion of this particular project. Similar to what we've done with other development projects, if in the process of this next 6 months that they intend to move forward and have some real substantial investment dollars under that FEED study or that front-end engineering design, we'd come back to the city council and ask you to move forward with a development agreement that would specify what both sides are going to do to move forward with this project. So there does seem to be some more optimism than I've seen over the last several years, but as with all industrial projects, there's lots of work and lots of effort that would have to go on for us to continue to move forward. We know this is this is the agribusiness projects of all agribusiness projects because most farming operations need nitrogen fertilizer. We're in a rich valley here in the Northern Valley, and we're in a high-priced market with not a good supply. So it really hits a lot of the boxes, but the financing element has been the challenging part of that. I have Larry Mackey is on the line too, and that's my summary update. Larry, would you want to let the council know of any other information that would be helpful to them?
Thank you, Todd. We have more than one potential investor, but we have one that's looks more optimistic than the others, and I really hope this is the last time I have to come and ask for an extension. I think I said that the last time. We had a real serious investor, and they're still in the game. But we thought they would have moved quicker than they have. And, but we have an additional one now that's looking better than the one I just mentioned. I would appreciate if you'd give us another extension. I can't say much more about this investor because of confidentiality agreements, but believe me, it looks very promising.
Mayor, I'll move approval on the extension.
We got a motion, we got a second, and then just to be clear, the motion from Vice President Weigel, second from President Sandy. Just so people are aware, it wasn't clear, this is for beneficial wastewater reuse. We don't have anyone speaking for that reuse right now. It's getting pumped to the river. Is that correct, Mr. Phelan?
That is correct.
All right. Any further comments?
And for the record, this is the 10th extension.
Mr. Sandy did count. All right. Seeing no other further comments, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Mackey, Mr. Phelan.
5.3, City Council Committee Assignments.
These are listed.
Thank you very much.
Yep, thank you. President Sandy, I just didn't know if you had anything you wanted to say regarding these. Otherwise, I'm
yeah.
assuming council's all happy with that and going to do good work.
Yeah, I just, like I should say every time we do this, these appointments are for the benefit of the entire community, and they're all a privilege. This isn't a harmful duty. It's a privilege to get to serve in these positions. And so just like being the vice president or being the council president, the city council holds all the power in this room. And so if people don't like what I'm doing as the council president or what Danny's doing as the vice president or any one of us are doing on those committee assignments, the council can give the opportunity and also take the opportunity away. So I would just hope that, like we have always been doing, we all do our best efforts to serve the citizens of our community and carry the water of the city council in those meetings. So, Mayor, I don't know if we need a motion and a second for those, but I would move approval of the committee assignments.
All right, we got a motion from President Sandy, second from Ms. Osowski. Any further comment related to item 5.3? All right, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously.
5.4, decision document for Project 8653, reconstruct North Washington Street from 1st to 8th Avenue North, attached as a follow-up memo from the July 8th call.
All right, thank you. And this did receive, was this unanimous approval on from the committee of the whole? All right, any
just have
further
a quick-
questions?
Quick
Yeah,
question about
please.
it. Is there any way that we can keep the traffic light on 2nd Avenue North? I understand that it's not warranted, correct? But do we have to remove it since it's already there?
The DOT, this goes back to the DOT policies, and I don't want to defend all of their policies, but this goes back to a study that was actually under the Regional Traffic Signal Program a couple of years ago. There are a couple of signals that they wanted to eliminate from the city of Grand Forks. One was at Demers and 20th, one was here at Washington and 2nd. We did work extensively with the DOT, and we got them to hang on to the traffic signal at Demers and 20th. But this particular signal here just really didn't have the warrant analysis to justify, didn't have the traffic to justify it, and the DOT being a very technical organization, and also their goal is to help, reduce traffic signals on their transportation system. We did push them on it, and we have been unsuccessful, and we just don't have the technical data to back us up to say, it should be here. It doesn't help us today, but these things are dynamic. If traffic would start developing in there in the future, we can get traffic signals put in where they are warranted. There aren't any signs of that right at this point in time, but again, we've talked with the DOT pretty extensively about it, and they're pretty set. If the council desired, they could ask, we could put that in as a council motion and ask them to give it additional consideration. I think that's about what we can do at this point in time on that subject.
I guess I would like to see us ask for additional consideration. I mean, I really like the project. I have nothing wrong with anything else, but I do think that we should be able to keep our stoplight there since we already have one. I know that I've had a couple calls about it from my constituents. I mean, it is in Ward 2. So I would like to see us try to maybe fight a little bit for it, but I also don't want to upset the DOT. So I motion approval with the condition that we request that we keep the stoplight on Second Avenue.
So we're requesting for additional consideration?
Yeah.
Okay.
I will second that, Mayor.
All right, we've got a motion, a second. Further discussion points?
Yeah,
President
if I
Sandy?
could,
Go ahead, Mr. Veen, why don't you go first?
yeah, I spent about a half an hour today meeting with Ms. Esselman, who presented the information. I really appreciated the additional memo and the follow-up from the questions that we asked last week. You know, I've been also in favor of it, but at the last committee of the whole meeting, I voted against this because I thought we could do a little bit more of an effort to try to understand the warrants, and I think more information could still be available for us. You know, we reconstructed Second Avenue a year plus ago, not the whole thing, but a significant part. There's considerable development on each side of Second Avenue, that for some of the Epic and residential areas to the east and to the west, all of the continued expansion of the university. You know, when you do look at the warrants, you look out a number of years, and I don't know if we projected all of that new development, because some of this was, as Mr. Grasser said, assessed a couple of years ago, and a lot has changed since then. So I think, I'm not for sure if there's some additional traffic engineer who can maybe answer some of those questions or look for it, but as I spent quite a bit of time looking through the detailed report that was added to our agenda, and I think I see some potential opportunity. I think if we follow through, especially with the motion that was made.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Veen. So just to be clear, our motion on the floor is to concur with the project concepts as proposed in the documented categorical exclusion, alternative B, without option 1 and with option 2. And we would ask that they give additional consideration to keeping the light at Second Avenue.
And we will, as part of that consideration, we'll make sure we forward out the land, not land uses, but the property use types, residential, commercial, et cetera, so that they can, I don't know if we have extensive traffic analysis on those sites, but we can certainly give them the information relative to the land uses.
Should we change our wording to mostly concur then, from concur? Or just leave it as is? I think we're fine with it the way it is. President Sandy.
Mr. Grasser, north of Demers Avenue, there is what I would consider propensity to have more stoplights closer together than, for example, if you go south on South Washington. Stoplight at Second, stoplight at University, stoplight at Fifth. Can't remember where the next stoplight. Why is there a stoplight at Fifth?
The stoplight at Fifth is basically there because of site conditions. There's a building that comes right up onto the property line. Mm-hmm. So there is very, very restricted site distances there, so it ended up being a safety issue. It also has kind of gone on and off the school routes, depending upon where children might be. So that one, if it wasn't for that, they would, I would project that they would have been looking to get rid of that one also. But again, the site conditions made that a very, very clear safety issue.
Sure. So why aren't there more stoplights south of Demers Avenue? We have one at 13th. I presume that's for Lewis and Clark. Students can get there. We have one at 17th. Perhaps that's for Holy Family in Red River. 24th for Viking School. It does. The stoplights on Washington do happen to typically correspond with a corridor for a school. But I think generally speaking, the more stoplights we have, the slower traffic goes and the less it flows. As a courtesy to Ms. Osowski, I'm going to vote in favor of her motion because it's her ward and that's what she's interested in. But I hope the DOT disagrees and comes back and says we should get rid of that stoplight because I don't think there's any need for it. If there's a need for a stoplight there, then there's a need for a stoplight at 11th Avenue South and 25th Avenue South and perhaps 33rd Avenue South. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you for that. Any further comments? All right, seeing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Grasser.
5.5 Health Strategies Grant Funding Award.
I'm ready to vote.
All right, any other comments or questions related to 5.5? I think we'll save you a further trot up there. Oh, we do have a question.
I do have one question.
Sorry, Ms. Berg, please.
So I just want to understand that the match that we're looking to receive, we've already provided those funds to public health and we're not giving them additional money.
Yeah, Ms. Bruin, I guess if you can clarify that it's our match is current staff hours and usage, so it's more of an in-kind, but they still need to have proof of a match for the funds. Is that how you see it?
That's 100% correct, Mayor Bochansky. Yes, and great question. Thanks for letting me clarify. The match, it was a requirement of the application process, and so we did say that our match was going to come through our general fund employees. So this is not any additional funding, nor is it any additional personnel to carry out this work.
Motion to approve.
Got a motion approved from Ms. Berg. Do we have a second? Got a second from President Sandy. Do you have a comment, please, President Sandy?
Yeah, it was nice that Dr. Walls provided his letter. There is a typo in it. We're not committing $945,559 to this project. There's an additional 9 at the end of it. It should be $94,555. Just so when somebody comes back and says we're short $800,000, I want to make sure we're clear that that's not what we're doing. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. We got a motion and a second. Any further comments? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-1 with Ms. Osowski dissenting.
5.6 Public Health Department Fire Marshal Office relocation to Franklin on 4th and Grand Forks Public Safety Facilities Master Planning updates.
All right, thank you.
My motion to kill this project. Right, or is that what?
Are you changing something from the original motion?
It looked the same, it didn't say.
It's going to follow the committee of the whole.
Is it going to follow the committee of the whole? I move approval then.
Okay, we'll move, just to be clear, let's get a motion to move forward with the committee of the whole, the same way we've done every other time. As the committee whole had stated, we'll continue with that decision. All right, we got a motion from Ms. Osowski for that and a second from Vice President Weigel. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. I believe that's it for action items. Move on to 6, information items.
6.1, yes, 6.1 Statement of Changes in Cash Balance as of May 31st.
Thank you.
And 6.2 is your investment portfolio summary as of June 30th.
Thank you. Item 7, approval of minutes and bills.
7.1 Vendor List.
Got a motion approved from President Sandy, second from Ms. Osowski. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously.
And 7.2 minutes from April 1st and 15th.
I move approval, but I do have a comment,
Okay.
so.
We got a motion, just wait 1 second, we'll get a second, then we can go back to that. We got a motion, a second. Is the motion to approve as is, or do you have a comment to
No.
change the minutes?
Approve as is, but just
Okay.
a comment about minutes in general. I know that we're very behind in our minutes, and the city staff has been making an effort, but I would like to see a greater effort made. It's really difficult for us council members to go back and just kind of verify what went on these meetings when we are months behind. I think that the council has been very generous in the amount of time that we have given city staff to get caught up on these, and for a while, they were pumping out 4 weeks, and now we're down to 2. And I would like to see us caught up very soon. I would like to even put a timeline on it. I'm not sure what that timeline would be, but I think it's unacceptable that we are this far behind in our meeting notes, and so I would like to address that right now. I don't know if anybody has a time frame they're looking at, but I would like to see this get done.
I mean, I guess the other question would be, are you willing to approve overtime and extra staffing? I know they're pretty busy. There's not like downtime where there's plenty of extra hours. They're doing as quickly as they can. They do a pretty phenomenal job. Getting 2 weeks done will catch up pretty fast. I would hate to set a timeline unless we're going to give them additional resources to get it done.
Mayor, if I could speak, I believe within Sherry and I have spoken greatly about this issue, and I believe within 2 meetings we'll be caught up. So we can set that as a timeline.
So caught up with the
In 1
previous
month,
week?
then.
Or what does caught up mean?
Current. So within 2 meetings' time, we should be caught up. So then from there on, we can approve the minutes at the meeting thereafter.
Okay. So 2 meetings would be 5 weeks since we got a third Monday, so let's not be conflating one.
We might as well
month
give them
for
just 2 months, just to keep
Okay.
it safe, I think, because I feel like we've been struggling, but they have made improvements, and I appreciate that, but now I kind of feel like it's slowing down a little bit more, so.
All right, we have a motion, and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. All right, moving on to 8, citizen comments of general nature. Any comments this evening?
I have one. Dennis Denault.
Mr. Denault, please.
How much time do I get?
5 minutes, sir.
Okay. Thank you, folks, for letting me speak. Once again, it seems like it's an annual tradition for the Knutsons to call the health department on me in July. As soon as I get ready to get geared up to do a little work on the house, the backyard's a little bit cluttered, and I guess I can't even have a 2x4 or a gallon of gas for the lawnmower. You name it. I tell you what. But it's all right for the Knutsons to park illegally. That's supposed to be parallel parking, not diagonal. And I'd sure like to know the name of the guy, the city employee, that doesn't know the difference between diagonal and parallel parking. They're in total violation under the ADA. And they're still parking on the sidewalk, and they had no reason to pull that, that sign, no parking on the sidewalk. This guy's got to be related, or somebody's related to the Knutsons, because that day the city employee was leaning up against the pickup box. He was BSing for over 2 hours with Phil Knutson. So they already had everything all figured out, that little money order, that little bit of money under the table. And then they're renters. I don't understand this, these Knutsons, because they got some more welfare renters up there. Drugs again. They got 2 dogs, and those dogs should have had license, and they should have been notified about not going pooping on everybody else's property. But they're druggies, man. What do they care? They don't even pick up anything behind them. And under the 3-strike rule, I believe that if these renters don't want to, if they don't want to follow the rules of Grand Forks, that should be a strike against them, along with all their dopey buddies. Just because I see everything, I've been threatened. 6 weeks ago, Sergeant Pemberton and the Deputy Chief Mackey showed up. This guy wouldn't come out because there's a warrant for his arrest. And he never came back. And now there was 3 more harassing me. I mean, this is getting ridiculous. This is the kind of people he's got up there. And everybody knows that the Knutson's got scanner. They got a scanner and it's hooked up with a voice-activated recorder. Anybody involved in drugs, they always got scanners. And there's nothing we can do about that when they're listening to everybody. This is going back since back in Sheriff Hill days. But one thing, everybody I talk to is that Jay Knutson is a phony-ass liar. He's sitting there with his phone, and he's tweaking the camera so it's pointing right at me the second I walk out my door. And then you can see the little camera lights going off, and the blue light for the audio. He lied to the cops because he says, oh, yeah, I just got it on my property. He's phonying a $3 bill. And everybody told me that it's not only an invasion of privacy, but to me, and especially all the gals told me that that's stalking. And I wish that we could do something. We may not be able to, Mr. Attorney, but I mean, that's just invasion of privacy. Nobody likes being stalked. But I've been stalked for the last 18 years, and it's all because of his renters and all the stinking drugs there. And he threatened me once before, and when I was 17, I went all the way down to Myrtle Beach by myself, all the way to Houston, Corpus Christi, Brownsville, over to New Mexico, up to Colorado, and up there in Denver, everything was pretty good until I got up to Denver, and then you're walking down the street and you got these little gangs of 12 to 16 blacks, and they look at you like, hey, white boy, what are you doing in my neighborhood? So they didn't scare me. And these Knutsons and their dope, all their dopies upstairs, they ain't gonna scare me either.
All right, Mr. Denault, that's
Yep.
your 5 minutes. Thank
Okay,
you.
no, I'm just sick of it.
All right, let me pull up the agenda here. On to item 9, city administrator comments. Any comments this evening, Mr. Phelan?
I have 3, Mayor Buczynski.
Please.
Mr. Denault, he did have a Board of Health did rule that he needed to clean up his property, and then they provided him 30 days. So I have the opportunity to speak with Mr. Denault on a weekly basis. So we'll work with him as a city and do the best we can to help him out getting that property cleaned up within these next 30 days. So we will do that to help support him. The other thing I just want to give you a heads up, and I mentioned this, is that at next week's Committee of the Whole, President Sandy, we are going to bring the update on the Ultra Indoor Sports and Aquatic Center. So you'll see an updated schematic design and cost estimate for that project. You'll see Maureen and Mike have worked on a capital financing as part of that project. You'll see an update on that. We're also going to, you also allowed us to hire Bolton and Ming to look at a traffic study and as well as a district plan to include the Children's Museum. So you'll see an updated plan on that. And then you'll also see a kind of a supportive off-site infrastructure and how we'd serve both of those facilities. You'll see some updates regarding that. And then we have an operation and maintenance estimate update too, so we'll give you an update on that. And then finally, Mr. Goss and I, we had one initial meeting with UND regarding their facilities, and if you weren't here, prior to June, the city provided a low-interest loan to help them move forward with the softball complex, and as part of that, they had to work with the city in good faith on behalf of the community for those various facilities around that, to include the softball complex, the Pollard Center, and then they have an outdoor turf that they just created, and then they're also intending to build an outdoor track. So all of those facilities, will be following up with them regarding making sure that the community can continue to use those facilities as we have been using. So there'll be some updates on that. And then finally, we'll be here to provide the overview of the entire city, mayor's city budget costs. We did a lot of salary plan and general fund, but we'll go over all the funds. Ultimately, asking you on September, or I guess August 5th, to have first reading on that budget. So we'll continue to update you on that. So those will be the 2 major things that will take some time next week, Monday, at the Committee of the Whole. So with that, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Phelan. On to 10, Mayor and Council member comments. Ms. Osowski, any comments this evening?
Yeah, I just want to say that I appreciated us revoting on those items from July 1st. I think it's really important that we follow our own city code. So I appreciate that. Also, I do have some follow-up comments on Fufang. Last week, it was, Mr. Gosted said that Mr. Wrigley has received an email from a citizen of Grand Forks, and it's in the general box. Now, I'm just wondering, is this the proper process, is just having our local citizens contact the Attorney General, or do you think that it should be more our place as a council to kind of push for that? I'm just kind of wondering why we find that an acceptable reporting, I guess. And then also, has it ever been reported to the Ag Director or the U.S. Department of Agriculture that China owns agriculture land in our community?
Who's the question, I guess? Are you asking us to do the AG's job on telling him how to do his job? Or
I'm
what
not
are you suggesting?
asking that we tell him how to do his job, but I just think that maybe we should properly report it to him, or is that not our duty at all?
I guess, are you suggesting he's unaware, or what? I guess that
I
was
don't
what
know.
Mr. Gosted was referring to, that they were aware of it.
Mr. Gosted said that the email was sitting in the general box of the Attorney General. He said nothing about the Ag Director or the U.S. Department of Agriculture. I would really like to see this wrapped up, and I would like to see the city be a little bit proactive about it. I mean, I don't know, is other people's thoughts just to sit back and wait to see? I would like to just see us be a little bit more proactive about it and make the Attorney General, the Ag Director, and the U.S. Department of Agriculture aware that China owns farmland in our community, or agriculture land.
Are you want a resolution of the council? Do you want to who do you want, what is your ask?
That we do something as a council and as the leadership of Grand Forks to push people to help with this situation. I believe that we may not be, I don't know if that's lawful that they're sitting on that land. From what, I'm not an attorney, so I have a hard time reading those things, but I believe that them owning that property at this point may be against the law, and I just want to make sure that we do our due diligence as a city. And when I brought it up a couple weeks ago, and when I followed up with my emails, all I was told is the email from the citizen is sitting in the general box of Mr. Wrigley. I'm just wondering if we have any kind of duty to report it as a city.
Through the police, you want us to reach out to the police department and have them report? I guess.
No, sir. I said the Attorney General, the Department of Agriculture. That's what I'm asking about.
Chief Nelson, maybe, I don't know, you could help us. What would be our policing? What would be our enforcement mechanism as the city on a state statute as it regards to land ownership? Otherwise, if you're suggesting, maybe that'd be the first place to go.
Maybe Mr. Gosted could actually write and make Mr. Wrigley and the Ag Director and the U.S. Department of Agriculture aware that a foreign entity owns agriculture land in our community.
Well, Chief, you're the Chief Law Enforcement Officer for the city. Maybe you can give us some insight.
Well, I think obviously we don't deal with land ownership issues and that type of thing anyway, so probably the main thing that we would do would be in contact with the state's attorney's office, and the state's attorney's office would be the court of record for handling North Dakota state law anyway, so it would be kind of out of the purview of municipal court and Mr. Gosted's office to handle. So I guess that would probably be a step forward if you wanted to get a hold of Ms. Wamstead and see if the county would be doing it, because if in fact there was a violation of North Dakota state statute, that would have to go through district court.
Okay. Does that help for Ms. Osowski? or Mr. Sandy, to President Sandy?
Chief, are you aware, does Ms. Wamstead know that the Chinese government owns land north end of Grand Forks?
I couldn't even surmise whether she does or not, but I would guess it's been fairly common knowledge, I guess, as we've been going through the whole Fufang process during this elongated time period, that it's not been secretive, not that I'm aware of.
So, Ms. Osowski, perhaps tomorrow for the county commission meeting, one of us or both of us should drop into the county commission meeting and let them know. And then see if Ms. Wamstead would be interested in taking on that opportunity.
I guess I'm not, why does it have to go through the county? I mean, it's city land, so why can't Mr. Gosted send a letter to these three people and just kind of wash our hands of it? At least then we did our part and we contacted these people. I mean, what they do on their end is something that we really can't control, but I just think that we should do the right thing as a community and really reach out and make them aware that this may be against the law, that they're sitting on our agriculture land. And I think the sooner that we wrap it up, in general, the better off we're going to be as a community. So.
All right, President Sandy, who wants to draft a resolution, or what's the county's action, or the council's action if they want to go, other than the route that had been suggested by Chief of Police?
Sure. I mean, again, this isn't a municipal issue. It would have to go to district court, which is Haley Wamstead. So I'd be happy to call Haley tomorrow and talk to her, or I'd be happy to go to the county commission meeting. It isn't a role of the city attorney to send that letter. However, if the city council, if we all say that we're interested in him, I'm sure he'd be willing to do that. But again, I think it's perhaps we should pass a resolution directing Haley Wamstead to reach out to her boss.
Mr. Mayor, can I just interject?
Mr. Gosted, please.
Her boss. I know.
There are certain facts that I think would have to be established to see if there is actually a violation. I would hate to be initiating something without having some factual basis behind it as to whether, I know there is issues about whether the contracts were entered into, the timing, the extent of those I don't have any of that factual information at all. And so I would hesitate to start initiating something unless I had some factual basis to contend that there is some violation. I just don't know, and there aren't any facts. I got a statute that requires certain factual findings and certain factual information to exist before the statute would be violated. That would be no different than any other statute that exists.
Well, I don't think there's any doubt that this council would like to see the property in other hands and something being developed there. I think that's pretty clear. President Sandy?
If, just hypothetically speaking, Mr. Gosted, if we initiate something and start down this path, and because of our taking that action, the value of their property gets diminished considerably because all of a sudden people think they have to fire sale it, and it turns out that they weren't actually in violation, could we be liable for the difference?
I don't know if the end result would be liability, but it certainly would, I shouldn't say certainly, it creates a situation where somebody start asking the question about the reasons why we did what we did, and pursuing that, whether through some sort of litigation or through some other matter. That would be a concern that I would have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I did send Mr. Gosted an email on 7/7 asking if there was any violation to the city code, and I still haven't received really a response back. And so I would like that please. And then I think, I think maybe if we can determine that there is a violation of our city code, then would that be a proper time to reach out to those people?
Is there a violation of city code?
If there's a violation of city code, that comes within the purview of, there's a criminal act, it comes within the purview of the city prosecution. And I'll get the response as soon as I can, Councilmember Osowski, but you asked me to review the entire Century Code to determine if there is a violation under the Century Code. There's volumes. I have been, unfortunately, had some other matters that I had to take up before I was able to get to that. I will try to get to it as soon as I possibly can.
All right.
Century Code's different than city code. Is the question Century Code or city code? Because Century Code would obviously be Attorney General, city code would be
Okay.
under the purview of the
I
city.
wrote Century Code, but I'll send you a follow-up email with maybe a few more details specifically, and then hopefully I can receive a response in a
Perfect.
timely manner.
Perfect.
please.
And if you can provide the factual information that would suggest that there is, the facts that you've got, that would be helpful too.
I
It
mean,
always is
I'll
helpful.
provide you, with what I have, but you're the attorney, and so I trust in you to interpret that law for us, so, thank you.
Ms. Berg, any comments this evening?
No, thank you.
All right, Ms. Lunsky.
Just a little frustration in my ward with all the construction. The signage doesn't seem to be following the construction, so a lot of times it'll say construction starting now and then end construction, but construction's actually moved on 2 blocks. I was just curious, who's in charge of moving the signage?
Mr. Phelan, you got an answer to that?
I suspect you're talking about that mill and overlay project. Well, I think it's the contractors got to move the signs. They're in charge of the means and methods of the construction. And I think what we should do is it's a city project, so, we have some responsibility too. So I think with that, I think Al heard that we'll follow up with our project manager to make sure that the contractor's staying on the top of the ball. Because I think they have 2 groups. They have a group that's doing the mill and overlaying, and they have a group that's doing the concrete, the ADA ramps. And I'm not sure if they're quite synced all the time with what they're doing. And it's like with anything with humans, we need to probably provide them a reminder that they need to follow through. And then also, there's nothing that frustrates people more than signs that should be moved or removed or done something with, but nobody has chosen to update the signage. So we'll get up on a better top of that.
Thank you, and it is moving very fast. It's one day here and the next day they're gone, so
Yeah.
thank you.
Mr. Friedhouse.
Just real quick, we had a little encroachment area with some trees, and I had some problems getting into my email, and it was resolved by the time I got it back into my email, so I guess we take credit for that, right? Thanks for getting the letter out, and so was John Ekman and a few other folks that helped out, so thank you.
Well, great to hear. All right, Vice President, we got Mr. Veen. You still there, Mr. Veen?
Yes, I am. I guess the only thing I wanted to add, I understand and appreciate what Mr. Sandy said about trying to make sure we keep traffic progressing efficiently on all of our major streets, and the addition of a signal could potentially impede it. What I appreciate about this location is both Second and University having one. You can usually do a fiber optic interconnect that would minimize or possibly eliminate any inefficiencies in the driving, but hopefully that would be taken into consideration when they do their warrants. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Veen. Vice President Weigel.
Just a couple quick things. Reading the Century Code that was provided by Ms. Carlson, I don't see anything that says that it's a criminal violation on that. Would you agree, Mr. Gustin?
Yeah, I don't believe it says anything about a criminal. It talks about what you have to do with the property if
Correct.
there is.
So it's not a criminal violation, so our police department is out. It's a civil violation, so I don't even think Ms. Wamstead would have anything to do with it because the Attorney General has to file it through district court. Doesn't say which district court. I'm assuming it'd be Grand Forks, but the state's attorney's office would have nothing to do with it. So I don't know, going to Ms. Wamstead or going to the county commission would do us any good. It specifically says it has to come from the Attorney General. And so, just another quick thing, I did get an email today from some folks in my ward regarding some encampments along the North 42nd, the railroad that goes north. So if we can maybe work, I think you were on there as well, Mr. Phelan, if we can work maybe to get those cleaned up and see if we can assist that townhouse gallery.
I did reassign that to our Education and Outreach Bureau. What makes that unique is that it does sit on the railroad side of the property. We've dealt with it once before. They want the police to go in and clean it up. It's on railroad property. They're not satisfied with what the railroad's doing. So I've asked our Education and Outreach Bureau to kind of take another look at that, change your approach, and maybe we need to bring in another stakeholder to look at it, and maybe a fresh set of people to talk with somebody else different at the railroad to see what we can do. But I did reassign that this morning.
Perfect. Chief, can we reach out to BNSF PD?
That was already one of the things that was discussed, so yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
You bet.
All right, thank you. President Sandy.
Thank you, Mayor. To Ms. Lunsky's point, Mr. Grasser, you don't need to get up, but I think the construction on 32nd Avenue South, the detours seem arbitrary, maybe not arbitrary, but not consistent. If you're heading north, if you're heading west, you can there's a right turn lane onto 38th Avenue South, but if you come off the interstate, there isn't a right turn lane onto 38th Avenue South going south. So why we would have a right turn going one direction, but not the right turn going the other direction? I think that's similar concept applies to most of those intersections. I get that we're trying to condense and get everybody into one line and whatever, but why would we not let people turn right and get out of the way when there's not, during the day when there hasn't been a whole lot of work going on? That's just a casual observation. I think Ms. Lipschen, our sanitation department, need a big kudos. I wish she was here tonight. At the behest of the mayor, I started using our 4 free drop-offs out at the sanitation department, but came to a realization that I work normal business hours and the sanitation department works normal business hours, and that doesn't make it very easy for me to dump things. So I really appreciate the fact that they're staying open Wednesday nights till 6 p.m. so people, at least during the summer, so people can take advantage of that. I really appreciate, Mayor, when I talked to you about it, and that they dug in and made that available to the citizens of Grand Forks. I do really appreciate it. Perhaps, Mayor, we can get an intern to help with the meeting minutes? It seems to me that an intern would be great in the finance department, and try not to overburden that person or underburden our current people, but maybe that would be helpful.
I know they currently do have an intern. You probably know.
I know everyone is
well.
overtasked. I understand that. So.
Well, there's been an inundation of public records requests on public records requests on records requests on records requests, so it's been challenging for them to keep up on top of pet fees and many other things and special events. So a lot has fallen on finance, and they do have one intern. Maybe we can get them 4 more.
This is why the cost of government keeps going up exponentially. Lastly, Mayor, I want to make sure that Mr. Denault hears this since he's here. I got the call from Jay Knutson, and I went and met with him personally. I met with their business. I spent probably an hour and a half over there talking to them about the parking, about the sidewalks, about the ADA compliance. I was the one that suggested we should put in the diagonal parking to try to provide a little more parking for his business, yet keep people off the sidewalks so that we can maintain ADA compliance. I'm not related to Mr. Knutson, nor did I receive any financial benefit from having that done. But I asked the city, after meeting with them, I asked our planning department and our engineering department if they could figure out and make it work, and so they did. And so it's not some bureaucrat that did that. They were having a problem, they needed help, and so I went to help them like I would help any other business owner in our community.
Hey, Dana,
We can have an offline,
store, and they park parallel there.
we can have an offline discussion. I'd be happy to talk to you. No problem.
And you're so lazy, they won't even park in front of your
All right, this isn't the time for back and forth, Mr. Denault, please. Thank you.
So the last thing I'll say is, when I head home from here, I'm going to head out to University, and I'm going to take a left on Washington, and I bet all of my life savings that I have to stop at that stoplight on Second, because I've been doing it for 11 years, and I always have to stop there. Actually, 13 years. Always get stuck there. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you. I think the only comment I'll make, I think it's all been said, just not everybody said it. So I think all I will remind people is that we do have a fifth Monday this month. So council, you're going to have a committee of the whole next week, but you won't have any in the following week. So take advantage of that, spend some time with your families and your friends, and hopefully the weather will continue and get outside and enjoy. So with that, we'll look at item 11, adjournment.
I move adjournment.
Got a motion to adjourn from Ms. Osowski, second from Ms. Lunsky. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. We are adjourned.